Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology, and today we're going to take a look at the Sun's upcoming square to Jupiter. Now, the Sun is in the sign of Leo right now, and it is about to make a square to Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. And this is one of a number of squares that are happening across the Leo and Taurus square axis this month. So there's a lot of action there. In fact, that was the focus of our horoscopes yesterday. We're going to look at the Sun square Jupiter today, and I decided to take an approach a little different. What I was thinking of is when I meet with clients who are having a transit of Jupiter in the sky to their natal sun, what kind of experiences do they have? And so these are the most common themes and stories that I hear about when Jupiter transits the sun in a natal chart, which is there should be a lot of parallel to what we might be experiencing over the course of, say, the weekend and into next week as the Sun and Jupiter move through a square in the sky. And sometimes I find that that's the most useful way of approaching a transit, is to think about the kinds of stories that I've heard and the kinds of themes that we can extract from those stories. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we get into it, as always, especially if you're new to the channel, your subscription helps the channel to grow, so we appreciate people subscribing and giving us the thumbs up. Positive reviews on Apple and Spotify always helps. We really appreciate that. You can always find a transcript of any of my talks on the website, nightlightastrology.com. And when you go over there, be sure to check out all of my readings and courses. If you have any questions about anything you find on the website about the courses or the reading offerings, email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. Okay, well, you guys know the drill. We're going to look at the real-time clock first and get a feel for what the transit looks like in the sky before taking a look at some of these stories that I tend to hear from clients. So here we can see that the Sun, this is as of Thursday, is just about 2 degrees, 3 degrees away from Jupiter. So we're going to advance the chart a little bit, and we'll see that by Friday the Sun has pulled to within about 2 degrees, and by Saturday it's getting closer, and then it's even closer Sunday. So let's just advance this now hour by hour, and this transit will come through and perfect. Here's the actual kind of perfecting moment. This is Sunday evening, August 6th. So we're looking at this several days out from the actual perfection, which is Sunday evening. That's Central Time where I'm at in Minneapolis, but could kind of adjust it Sunday evening-ish in the USA in general. And then if we advance this into Monday, you're going to see that then the square is fading, but we give it about 3 degrees, and that 3-degree range takes us all the way to August 9th. So if we back that up to today, which is Thursday, August 3rd, then we're getting quite a range of interaction, all the way from, it's about a full week that we're going to have Jupiter and the Sun in the engagement. So, of course, the Sun is in Leo, Jupiter is in Taurus, the Sun is in its own domicile, so it's very strong. Jupiter's in the superior position because it's prior in zodiacal order to the Sun. So that means that Jupiter sort of impressing its nature onto the Sun. And it's a little bit different than if the Sun were in the superior position, which would indicate that the Sun was sort of impressing its nature upon Jupiter. And there's subtle differences depending on which one is in the more assertive position within the dynamic. Ancient astrologers paid attention to that. But anyway, what I want to go over with you guys today are the most common stories that I hear from clients when Jupiter is transiting the Sun in a natal chart, because these stories and themes are going to be parallel to the kinds of themes and stories that we might see in our lives in the week ahead. So here they are in no particular order. I don't like to rank them one through, like sometimes there'll be one that really stands out, but I don't rank. I just make lists of themes. So one of the most common themes that I see when someone has Jupiter transiting the Sun in their natal chart is they'll get a promotion. They will climb the ladder somehow, take that next step up the ladder, whether that's graduating, finishing a dissertation, passing an exam, getting a job, getting a raise, getting a bump, getting a higher title, having more responsibility, power, leadership. There'll be some way in which you take a step up in a hierarchy of some kind. That could be developmentally learning, a skill or a craft or a trade or an art that you get better at something. And maybe there's recognition that comes with it, or maybe it's just the idea of expanding, that you're reaching higher potential somehow. So this is like, again, I don't rank them, but this would be right up there with the most common things that I see when Jupiter transits the sun in a natal chart, and the kind of thing that we could expect in the week ahead. Some of you out there listening to this will go through some kind of process of growth, and you'll take a tangible step forward or upward. And that there's a sense metaphorically of it being forward or upward. It's not literal like forward or upward, but it's has that feeling of like, it's like my daughter recently lost a tooth, and she very much had this proud feeling of like, I've taken a step in my growth, and there's just this pride and this kind of shining feeling, this aura of success. And sometimes it comes with public recognition or recognition from people around you that mean a lot to you, even a teacher that says, hey, you really have taken a step in learning something. So promotion or recognition as one of the most common Sun-Jupiter themes that you will see. And that's obviously the one that people like the most in my experience too. But number 2 would be confidence and charisma. So with confidence and charisma, it's a little bit more subjective, but it's basically just feeling like you have the wind at your back. The Sun-Jupiter comes along and fills you with the confidence that you need to take a risk or to leap or kind of grab an opportunity, leap at an opportunity. I don't know what the right way of putting that is, but take a risk because you have the confidence and the sense of can-do optimism that the Sun-Jupiter brings. And so you just say, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm going to do this. There's a kind of this feeling of you can't fail, like nothing can go wrong here. And often that instinct is rewarded. You step through a door and you find that it was the right thing to do at the right time. So the confidence and charisma, there's a kind of faithful, trusting quality that comes with it. Like, I can do this, this is good. It's the right time. It's going to be okay. And also, like, there's a kind of contagious feeling of positivity that comes in around the sun and Jupiter. And when people have this natally, and it lasts quite a while because of maybe going back and forth through retrogrades, maybe, that part of a year they have this, maybe half a year they have a back and forth of Jupiter over the sun. We have it for a week here, but for for transits of the natal chart, this can be a period of time in which you really grow the confidence to take some very big positive steps of growth. And it could be in relationships or at work or, in different ways, or even in terms of your inner life, your confidence just psychologically or maybe physically or something. So confidence and charisma, growing, and just the subjective feelings of positivity and faith and trust that things are going to go right. That's where, sort of like preparation meets opportunity. That's where they say good luck exists. That's a little bit like the Sun-Jupiter. So number 3 would be learning and understanding. I see frequently that people undertake, they go back to school. They start a program. They find a teacher or a mentor or a guru, or they find some kind of religious or spiritual path. The Sun and Jupiter were both associated with piety, with faith, with religion, with philosophy, with a kind of the desire to understand and to know, to be illuminated as the sun, to be wise and sagely like Jupiter. And so the Sun-Jupiter combination is often associated with higher learning. And that could take a lot of different forms. It could be something very mundane and practical. Like, I'm going to learn, we have a friend of ours who is thinking of going to school or doing some work with going to art school, basically. And so, this feeling of following some kind of call to develop a skill, to train with a master, to study with a great artist, to go do an MFA somewhere and study with. I remember when I did my MFA. When I did my MFA, a good portion of my MFA was done while Jupiter was in the sign of Leo, if I'm remembering correctly, and on was it? No, I'm going back in time. Let me see. Hold on. I'm dating myself here. Anyway, there was an important Jupiter transit. I have to think back about it. But there was a Jupiter transit, and I think it was either to my sun or moon, and I have my sun and moon across the 3rd and 9th, and I went to art school. So that desire to know, to understand, to be taught, to find luminous examples of wisdom or understanding, or people who are really good at something, and to sit with them or be with them. These are Sun Jupiter kinds of themes that are very common during this transit. To find a teacher, to teach, to feel the call to teach or share wisdom in some way. So learning and understanding. Number 4 would be themes of arrogance and overreaching. There's this problem that happens when Jupiter transits the sun in natal charts, and I see my clients go through this, which is that they will go through some kind of, what I want to call it is, like, they'll get their wings clipped a little bit from flying too close to the sun, like Icarus, or there'll be a humbling experience because of overreaching or overpromising. Overpromise and underdeliver, that's a Sun Jupiter shadow potentially, or to bite off more than you can chew, or to overestimate your ability to handle something, or to overestimate how much commitment or time or effort something will take. The positive trust and confidence and charisma is there, but you're not accurately assessing the work and perseverance that will be needed to accomplish something beyond just the inspiration that you're feeling. So there's sometimes like almost like a little like built-in, with Jupiter, there's always the potential for like a built-in Saturnian backlash, because they're very connected planets in terms of expansion and contraction. So when you put the sun and Jupiter together, you have people going through experiences where, if they've gone too far, expanded beyond the what is reasonable or practical or grounded, that you'll have some kind of backlash where they have to come back down to earth a little bit. Generally speaking, I don't see people like falling on their faces during this transit. Like, I don't think this transit is built to be like, all right, let's pump you up and then knock you back down. I don't really, but it can happen. It's important to be aware of the shadow of ego, arrogance, overpromising, getting too big, or like delusions of grandeur, and getting puffed up and proud. When you're really excited about things and you have a lot of confidence and there's this kind of wind at your back, it's easy to overestimate how long that will last, or how far that energy can take you. So it's important to remember that, like, all things pass, and that what's full will be emptied again. And if you keep that perspective, just as a subtle reminder, it's not like you want to kill the vibe or the buzz of this transit just for the sake of being some kind of neutral automaton. But you don't want to lose perspective of the fact that this won't last forever, and try to, just maintain a little dose of realism, so that you don't get puffed up somehow, or inflation of the ego, or an inflation of your ideals or something doesn't become problematic. And I see this, clients go through this all the time. There's this like humbling process with the Sun Jupiter. But the humbling doesn't necessarily take away everything that you've gained or learned, or the expansion either. It might just temper it a little bit. Okay, so number 5 would be themes around fathers, or leadership and leaders, and themes of purpose and empowerment, generally speaking. So anytime the Sun and Jupiter comes together, just broadly speaking, the theme of purpose and power and empowerment and authority can come up. This may also this may put you into a position of leadership. It can also present problems with leaders. You can have glowing examples of teachers, mentors, leaders coming into your life, people that you love to work with, and you maybe are very fortunate connections that you make. And you can also find that you are heading into a power struggle, or butting heads with someone who resembles the Sun Jupiter archetypally. So they have some kind of high status and authority, and maybe they're arrogant, or maybe they're a little high on their own power or something, and you run into such a figure. That can be a shadow of this transit as well. The other thing that I hear from my clients all the time, which is weird, is that there will be sometimes major health episodes or issues with like fathers, or there'll be some like metaphorical, usually I would say it's like the death card in tarot. It's like 99% of the time it doesn't indicate a literal death, but some kind of metaphorical death. The death of the father as a metaphor is big with Sun Jupiter. There's this weird way in which the Sun Jupiter simply amplifies the theme of fathers and fatherhood, leaders and leadership, power and authority. It just amplifies it and makes it really big. And then you have to look at it. And are there, you can look at it from a lot of different perspectives. And a lot of it depends on our own natal chart and our own history and where we're at in our life. But that can mean, for example, that the mortality of the father or the mortality of a leader comes into view. Dad is getting older. Dad is retiring. Dad has a health episode that reminds you he's not going to live forever. These are the kinds of things that can sometimes they come up with the Sun Jupiter, and they have this way of sort of reminding us that the sun will set someday. And so what endures? What is the legacy that we're living for when we can see that different kinds of famous or enduring solar figures are going to pass? There's a way in which the Sun Jupiter can kind of memorialize a solar figure and pay tribute to them, as it also calls us to be the next leader in a succession. Something like that. And that sounds grander, and it's usually very mundane in the way this happens. It's like, oh, my dad is retiring, and this just means that I'm stepping into a phase of adult life that's it's like my father is moving into the sort of autumn of his years, and now I'm fully in adulthood, not sharing that stage any longer with a working parent. Psychically, it's a very big change. We can underestimate how powerful that kind of shift is, but it can be a Sun Jupiter shift. Anyway, watch for themes around fathers and the kind of transitions in life that have to do with legacy, empowerment, purpose, and transitions around leaders and leadership, and transitions that we make around our sense of purpose. So anyway, these are the things that I see my clients dealing with all the time when they go through Sun Jupiter transiting the natal sun, which often will last like half a year, right? Where they'll get back and forths or close proximity over the course of like 6 months. This is just a week. But if you take the kind of stories and themes that I just gave from my client practice, you can easily apply those to our lives in the next week. And I would love to hear from you guys and hear what you're experiencing as the transit passes through. Remember, it comes through Sunday in particular, but then you get it all the way through about next Wednesday if you count that 3-degree separation range. So be sure to share your stories. If you have one, use the hashtag grabbed, or email us your story, grabbed@nightlightastrology.com. Use the hashtag grabbed and then tell us the transit and then tell us your story. You guys know that every couple of months I like to look through and find a bunch of stories that really illustrate the astrology we've been living through. I love doing that, and I love hearing from you guys. So be sure to share your comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everyone.